And ladies and gentlemen, I do believe it's just about that time. And on the line with us this morning, it's the one and only, the legend, the myth, the man who makes it happen each and every week right here at your local community radio station, T-Boz. Good morning, sir.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Williams, and good morning, classmates. And how are you? You know, boys and girls, they have a great feature on WAPJ. It's called Today in Connecticut History. And I heard as I was in makeup preparing for the show, Jock doesn't need makeup. He's just a natural beauty. But I need a little bit of powder. Anyway, on Connecticut History, today in 1913, a baseball team was fined $15 a player for playing baseball on a Sunday. And they even fined the grandparents in the minivans for watching it. But all kidding aside, could you imagine that? I tell you, boys and girls, if you're not listening to WAPJ 24/7, you're missing some gems. So welcome in, everyone. Come on in. George, could you bring up the air conditioning just a little bit more, please? Yep. Oh, hang on a minute. Oh, this one, you need a pillow for your back. Could down the hall with a chair. George, could you help her with that? Thank you. George will take care of that. No problem. Thank you. Come on in, everyone. Oh, we have some guys here. Jock from the Holy Name Society at St. John Paul the Great Parish over here. They have a great group. They're off for the summer, but they meet in September. So if that's something you guys would like to be part of, but there's about 5 of them here. So we thank them for coming in. And we have a great group here today. Over here, I just want to do a quick shout out to a couple of quick shout outs, then we'll get over to Stan, to a friend of mine, Pinky. She's over Pinewood Road with the hot dog stand. Okay, guys and girls, that salad you made for lunch, that tossed salad that you made with the chicken and the chip peas, leave it in the car. Okay, forget about it. Go have yourself a nice hot dog with sauerkraut, mustard, relish, whatever else she's got there, bag of chips, a Coke, and enjoy a nice summer hot dog over there. And she's a good friend, and she listens to the program, and I appreciate that. So just want to say hello to her. We also lost Conchenta Francanero, Conchenta Rosamia Francanero. And those of you who don't know who she is, it's the late Connie Francis, her great song, Where the Boys Are. Jock played that to me before. That was a very racy song to play at the time in 1960 when she recorded it, because here was a woman really wanting to be with boys, and that was way ahead of the time, like the baseball guys in 1913. So we thank her for her career, her great music, and bringing a lot of Italian heritage to the airwaves. So, and moving quickly ahead, Sunday will be the 56th anniversary of Man on the Moon. Our President John F. Kennedy, a torch that was passed to a new generation, and putting a man on the moon by the end of that century happened. And 3 guys by the name of Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Mike Collins traveled 238,855 miles to have one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. And those of you who are part of the Ed Sullivan generation remember that. They used to bring the TVs in school, and seeing that Saturn V, I was talking about this at Bar, that rocket going up and the flames coming out, and then one part of the rocket would disable, and then the rocket would go, and you'd be watching it on TV in the white smoke, and then you couldn't see the rocket anymore. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. But those were heroes. That was a great Apollo mission. Saturn V was the one that landed on the moon. So just tip your hat to those guys on the 20th. It was 56 years ago, but things we should remember. Speaking of 56 years ago, here's a guy, and he's in his summer attire. No tank top today. Good morning, Stan. And how are you? You're well. And what do we have in the coffee pot today, my good friend? Ooh, you really went all out. Caramel Mocha Divine. I love the caramel mixed in. And we have Jell-O again, yogurt, and cookies, all kinds of cookies. And what is, who is our sponsor, Stanley? Who decided to put in the cash for this? Oh, none other than La Cucina Ristorante, 62 East Main Street. Lady Diane and I had a lovely dinner over there. Great place, a lot of windows, which is what I like, and fabulous food. So if you're looking for something to do, if it's too hot to cook in the cucina yourself, then go over there and see the people at La Cucina, and we thank them for sponsoring the dessert table. And Stan's shirt says, "Be kind, be considerate, be thoughtful." Wow, and that is going to play into our theme today. So let's get over to our format, and let's start learning something up here in the upper classes. There's still people coming in. You can guide them over here, George. There's plenty of room over here. All right, thank you. And could you bring the lights up a little bit more for me? Thank you. All right, so let's look at our format. So this is part 2, communication. It's so important how we relate to each other. Communication is like the foundation of our relationships. Whether it's your children, your spouse, your friend, your coworker. So, I mean, we have to communicate with each other. And my friend Chris Campfield does a show on Wednesday, No Commercial Potential, and a Saturday show, My Country Place. He listened last week, liked the program, and asked me to tune up a little bit and come up with some techniques for communication. So as per his request, we have that on tap as well today. So we're going to go through part 2 of communications. We're going to go through some techniques, some more different dialogues as to when we could use our communication techniques. And then we're going to see if we have the right attitude when we're communicating. And that's why we go right back to our 2 Beatitudes. We did this a couple weeks ago. I brought it back last week. We're going to do it again. The first Beatitude, blessed are the peacemakers. That's an attitude, boys and girls. When you enter into a conflict, if you enter into a conversation with your spouse, are you going in as a peacemaker or a troublemaker? Okay, so, some people, not everybody here is Christian. Not everybody reads the Bible, but the Bible is pertinent. Okay, whatever you're reading in a self-help book today, whatever Tony Robbins kind of person you see, Dale Carnegie, all fantastic. I like those guys too. But guess what? It started 2,000 years ago. So blessed are the peacemakers. The other Beatitude, blessed are the pure in heart. So when we're communicating with our wife or our son or our granddaughter that's at college, are we pure in heart or are we manipulative in heart? Are we trying to get our own way, convince them to see the world the way we do? That's not what communication is. And wait till you hear our takeaway at the end. So communication starts with blessed are the peacemakers, blessed are the pure in heart. So I would encourage all of you, whether you're a believer or not, put that at the base of this lesson today, because if you're not a peacemaker, if you're not pure in heart, then you're doing other things that are not good. So let's get over to our first quote, and it's from the book of James, and St. James was very big in talking about communications. Chapter 1, verse 19. St. James says this, "Know this, my beloved brothers and sisters." Okay, so he includes everybody. "Be quick to hear and slow to speak." Boom. Quick to hear and slow to speak. And what did we learn last week? Be hard on the problem and easy on the answer. So when we're engaging in dialogue, when we're talking to people, are we quick to speak or are we slow to hear? Are we taking the people into consideration? We'll find out some more things as we travel through the broadcast today. Are we listening? Right? We learned last week that communication is not all talking, it's listening, right? And the other key word, understanding. I have a nice little story about that. Reviewing last week, when we're speaking to people, what we're saying, is it truthful? Gossip is not communication. We could do a whole program on gossip, okay? Is it truthful what we're saying about someone or to someone, all right? And then, is it necessary? We talked about that last week. If we're saying something to someone, there's some things, boys and girls, you could leave out. Okay? You don't have to get all mashugana. You could leave some things out. You don't have to say everything in dialogue. I'm not teaching you to lie. Okay? If someone asks you, tell me the truth about something, be truthful. But is it necessary? And then, like it said on Stan's shirt over there, be kind. When you're talking to someone, especially in a conflict situation or a disagreement situation, at the very core, peacemaker, pure of heart, be kind. Life is short. I mean, Connie Francis, 87 years old, right? That's not a long time. And most of us in this room are looking at the finish line. okay? And people listening on air. We do have younger listeners, but I would say, right, looking at we've got, I don't know, about 75 people here today. We can see the finish line. So how do you want to spend the last 100 yards? Let's look at our next quote, Colossians chapter 3, verse 8. But it's time. I love that. It's time. And now is the time. All right. Now is the time. But it's time to put them. Now listen to this. Put them all away. What is the them St. Paul is talking about? Wrath, malice, slander. Boom. Here's St. Paul telling us over 2,000 years ago, it's time. Now is the time. He was talking about the time then. We could have talked about it in the 60s, civil rights, and we could talk about it today. It's time to put away malice and slander and wrath, okay, which is anger, all right? Put them all away. You're not going to draw people to you. You're not going to build a better community. I hate to use the word you, we're not going to have a kingdom of heaven is at hand sort of mindset if we're always in that wrath mode, that malice mode. People hurt you. Okay, I've been hurt, you've been hurt, everybody in this room has been hurt. And those people will get due justice in their time. But the malice and the slander and the wrath is not going to change the past and what happened. And it's not going to make the future any better because it's just going to be stirring the pot, right? When you poke the fire, what happens? More wood burns. So leave the fire alone, as St. Paul says, and do what St. James says. More hearing, less speaking. Let's look at our first dialogue in a communication piece. Add to their thoughts, even when you disagree. Add to their thoughts, even when you disagree. Now that's tough, okay? And wait till you hear this quote we have after the break. Add to that, so when someone's talking to you, say, gee, we talked last week about feel, felt, found. If someone's talking to you, it might be politics, religion, something with the town, they're going to build something new again, who knows, right? But instead of going in with a sword, go in with a hug, all right? And listen to what the people are saying and add to their conversation and say, gee, Frank, that sounds pretty good. I felt a little differently about the new high school, so to speak, but I understand what you're saying, and I guess that's possible, even though I think we could have done something different. That's a lot different, and what are you, nuts? You crit? I can't believe it. My taxes are... You know what that's going to do? That's going to shut somebody down. They're not going to even listen to you, even if you were Socrates, okay? So add to their conversation, even when you disagree. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 18. Maybe this is where we got the name of the show from. The words of the reckless. Oh, no, it's another quote, but this is the one I want. Thank you, George. The words of the reckless pierce like a sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. Boom. And St. James says that the tongue is like the rudder of a ship. If you look at a big ship like the Titanic or some of these things that go out of Florida, the rudder of the ship is very small, but it moves that whole ship. And St. James tells us that the tongue, though it's one of the smaller parts of the whole body, boy, can that move a ship. That ship being you and other people. So is your tongue going to pierce like a sword? Are you ready to get it? Or you're not reckless and your tongue will bring healing. Goes right back to peacemaker and pure of heart. What do you want to be known as? Do you want to be known as a reckless person that pierces heart? Or do you want to be a wise person that brings healing? Our next dialogue, let's see, okay, we're good. Our next dialogue says this. To give feedback, so when you're going to give feedback, I get a lot of feedback on this show. I encourage it. Not everybody agrees with me. That's fine. It's a free country. To give feedback, first, make the other person know you care. Bing, bang, boom. Before you jump in and tell them they shouldn't buy that business, before you jump in and tell them they should break up with that guy or gal, before you do all of that, right back. I'm going to keep doing this. It's going to be annoying. You go right back to blessed are the peacemakers, the pure in heart. If you have that as your mantra, as you have that as your core, then when you have to give feedback or advice or opinion, first let the other person know you care. You know, Jane, I feel awful about you and Bob breaking up. I like Bob. I like you. I can see the situation that happened. I care about both of you, but let me offer what I see, what was happening over the last couple of months. That's how you talk to people. That's how you bring people into the conversation. Another technique, I call it the report card. I learned this in Dale Carnegie, okay? So, you know what? To get this right, Jacques, I know my clock's a little off here. Are you around so we could do the sponsors now, and then I'll get into the technique about the report card?
Sure. Want to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors for allowing us to bring you the quality community radio programming that we're bringing you at this particular time. And we want to encourage each and every one of you to take advantage of our local and live segment that occurs each and every Thursday right here. You feel free to make the magic happen right here in the WAPJ studios, or you can let your fingers do the walking so we can do the talking. 25 years going strong. The experiment continues. Volunteer-operated, listener-supported radio right here from 40 Water Street. With that being said, we want to thank T-Boz for his contributions to the station and return you to more words of wisdom and moments of meditation.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. And like I said on Facebook this morning, WAPJ, it's what radio should be. So we have everything here, folks, even a great sports show on Sunday morning, the Pro Football Show. So check that out. All right, so technique, I call it the report card, right? They teach you this in Dale Carnegie. So your son comes in, he's got the report card, or maybe, you know, you're a grandparent raising your children, they come into the report card and they got an A in science and a B in math, but social studies is a D. Ugh. And so the usual way that we all came up in the world is, D, you got a D, you know what? You better do something about that D. Otherwise, that's it. No bicycle, no Mickey Mantle cards, no plane flip on the front stoop. That's it. You're in your room. You get that book and you knuckle down and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay? That's not good communication. Okay? Here's good communication. All right? Gee, Barbara, you did great in those other subjects in A and a B. And you're an intelligent young lady. And I know that you like certain subjects than certain subjects more than others. We all have different gifts. We all have different talents, right? God gives us different strengths and things to do. But I know that with just a little more effort, maybe a little studying, and maybe I can help you out with that, I bet you could bring that D, a C plus, maybe even a B. I know you have that in you. Isn't that a lot different, boys and girls? You're edifying the person. You're giving them direction. You're showing them that they can be more than what they are. You're giving them advice, but you're giving it with what? Showing the people that you care. Being the peacemaker. Being the pure in heart. Okay? So you're going to talk to that child about that report card a lot different than the way you might have done it 50 years ago. And so when we talk about communication, if your main purpose is to truly help someone, right, slow to speak, quick to listen, St. James, if that is our true feeling that we want to do, convey to the next person, then we will say, gee, with your talents and your gifts, you can bring that D up to a C plus or a B. That has someone, then they want to pick up the book and the pencil and go do something. The other way, you know what they say? That's it, I'm going to go hang out with my friends. So there's a little bit of advice there. Psalm 49, verse 3 says, my mouth will speak. Oh, this is where we got the name of the show, from Psalm 49. My mouth will speak words of wisdom. The meditation of my heart will give you understanding. The meditation of my heart, the pure in heart, words of wisdom. Psalm 49 teaches us the meditations of my heart will give you understanding. And that was a key word. In communication, I think the two big words are listening and understanding, right? The word understand means to get under and stand up. So if someone needs help, your understanding is greater than your advice. And I'll tell you a quick little story. When I was dating my late wife, Lori, she was not Italian, okay? She was Swedish and English and a little bit Irish. And my mother God rest her soul, very Italian, you got to marry Italian girl, that whole thing. And my late wife was white-skinned and blue-eyed, and we're dark-skinned and brown-eyed. And they were not getting along. My mother was not happy with the choice of my late wife. I'm going to be honest with you guys, because this show is about truth, right? Say with truth. She grew to love her because she gave her grandchildren, and we don't have time for all of that. But she grew to love her, and they had a good relationship. But in the beginning, right, let there be light. There was no light. And my mother would constantly tell me, to end this relationship. I don't like her family. I don't like her mother. It was hell, okay? But one day, my late wife and I were up in Huntington, where my parents lived at the time, back in 1979, and they had a big in-ground pool in the backyard, and I had done some beautiful plantings all around the pool, all around the house. I like to work in the yard, so my father didn't have to tell us to do it. We just did it, right? And my Aunt Margie, and a saint, my Aunt Margie, my mother's older sister, was in the kitchen. They were right by the kitchen window by the sink, and I was showing Lori this planting that I did with, in those days, railroad ties and azalea bushes and all of that, the mulch, the whole thing. And as I was talking to her, my Aunt Margie looked out the window. She could see the way Lori was paying attention to me. And she looked at my mother and said, "Anna, she understands him." Boom. And she did. And that's how 6 years of dating turned into 31 years of marriage, until God took her home 10 years ago. And Lady Diana has that same sense of understanding me. And I understand her. That is the core of love, boys and girls, is understanding. And so when Psalm tells us that the wise and that understanding is the key in good relationships and in communication, my Aunt Margie was really telling my mother, "Anna, leave it alone. This girl, this young girl of 19 years old, understands Tommy." And that's what turned into, like I said, 6 years of dating and 31 years of marriage. So understanding is key. Before you're ready to jump in, before you're ready to give your own opinion, understand the situation first and then see where you can help. Let's look at our next dialogue. Mention small things that they said the last time you were together. So like Chris was saying, these are good techniques, right? My friend Keith has a grandson, Cameron. That kid is like the next Mickey Mantle. Sorry, Keith, I don't know players on the Red Sox. So the next Mickey Mantle, right? Kid plays baseball. When I talked to Keith, I remember that Cameron was in a playoff. I remembered that they lost last week, but they get another chance to play tomorrow. I remember those things that he pitched. Because when Keith is talking, guess what I'm doing? Listening. My friend Catherine, right? We visited with them Saturday. I remember that they got married in July. I remember that they got married at a congregational church in Meriden. And I asked them, did they go there and take a picture like they did for their 50th anniversary? And they said, yes. So when you're communicating, when people are talking to you, if you're not ready to jump in with your own idea, share with people when you see them next time. Doesn't have to be the preamble, but some small things that they said that will bring people into you and know that you understand them, that you care about them, that you are pure of heart, right? If you're pure of heart, you are going to take the interest in someone. Take the interest in someone's life, not just your own. Here's an unknown statement. If you think communication is talking, you have not been listening. Boom, what we've been saying all morning. So if you think communication, and even in sales, they taught me in sales years ago, sales is not about telling the people the piano was great. Sales is asking people questions, finding what they're looking for, and then helping them, guiding them to make the right purchase. That's what sales is. It's not hitting someone over the head with a sofa or a piano, whatever you're trying to sell. So sales has communication in it as well, but it's a listening. People say, oh, you're good in sales because you talk a lot. Wrong. The best salespeople listen and guide. And just like we said with our report card, guiding someone to get a better grade. All right? Let's look at this technique. This is a technique that Chris brought to my attention. When you come into a conflict, before you go in and start judging everything and telling people sit in a corner, you sit in a corner, and all of that stuff. Like Chris had something happen at the school that he's in, and his first approach, and I thought this was great, that's what I included in the program today, is first say, okay, everyone, let's settle down. Let's just take a deep breath. Ask questions, just like you said with sales. Ask the person, why did you get so angry? What is your point of view? Go over to the other person. What is your point of view? Or maybe separate them if you have to. But before you go in reprimanding, judging, kicking the desk, ask people, why are they upset? What was said that upset you? Why do you feel this way? Feel, felt, found, right? I know how you feel. I felt the same way. This is what I found. This is communication. This is living in a civilized society. This is what being pure of heart, and what our buddy St. James says in chapter 1, verse 19, is, know, my beloved brothers and sisters, is to speak less and listen more. Slow to speak, quick to listen. So if you're slow to speak and quick to listen in a conflict, you'll listen to the both parties and then hopefully be able to mediate and bring the people to a resolution of peace, right? That's what we like. We like peace. Anton Chekhov, and this goes right back to what we just talked about. I love this beautiful quote. Don't tell me, it's funny because I just talked about the moon landing. Don't tell me the moon is shining. Show me the glint of light on the broken glass. Bing, bang, boom. Show me, right? Remember, show me the money. Show me. So don't tell me that the moon is shining. In that bad situation, like we talked about, people are upset and hurt, yelling at each other, or upset about something. Show me the glint of light. What is he talking about? Hope. Show me the glint of light that is shining on the broken glass. So even in that bad situation, even in that broken relationship, even in that kid in the schoolyard, show me the glint of light. Take the time to, how do you find the glint of light? By understanding, by listening, to having some compassion, by talking truthfully, by being kind. That's how you can find the glint of light on the broken glass. But if you go in with a sword and a hammer, you're just going to break more glass. Let's look at Dale Carnegie. Took this class years ago, graduated top of my class, if I don't mind saying it myself. There are always three speeches for the one you gave. And here they are, all right? Here's the three speeches. One, the one you practiced. And those of you who've done public speaking, or maybe you wanted to say something to someone, you know what that means. The one you practiced, the one you gave, the actual speech you gave, and number three, don't we all live this way, the one you wish you gave. And so I brought this public speaking into this communication piece because when you're having a discussion with a spouse or with a child or with a nephew, uncle, all those relations, co-worker, don't walk away wishing you had given the talk or the discussion that you wish you gave. There's always three, right? There's the one you practiced, the one you gave, and the one you wish you gave. So make sure when you're going into a situation, take time to think a little bit. Think about what you're going to say, analyze the situation, and don't walk away with regrets thinking the one you had hoped to give. Give the one with the empathy and the thought that helps people move forward and have a better life. Misty Lynn Walker says this: a lack of communication breeds, I love that word, breeds assumptions of what the other person is thinking or feeling. And oftentimes, assumptions are incorrect. Bing, bang, boom. So before you assume something, that's what happens. You assume something when there's lack of communication, when you're not talking to someone, you're not understanding someone, you're not listening to someone, you begin to assume, oh, they this, or they should have went out with that, or they should have bought that house, or should have, would have, good at all of that stuff that we use, right? That I've used. I've been guilty of this stuff. You know, last time I looked at my arms and the rest of me, it's all flesh. I'm human, right? So when you have lack of communication, then assumptions enter in. And assumptions are just guesswork. We want to have, like it said in the opening, truth. We want to have things that are necessary, and we want to have things that are kind. So don't assume something before you talk with someone. Get the facts and talk honestly with them. This quote, we're getting close to the takeaway. This statement is riveting. You're all going to fall out of your chair and you hear this one. Communication is 20% of what you know and 80% of how you feel about what you know. Boom. And that's where we are today on Facebook, and that's where we are today in the world, and that's where we are. What we communicate is 20% what we know, but it's 80% about how we feel what we know. And when we enter good communication, we have to learn to sift through some of those feelings, not get rid of them. I have things that I feel very strongly about. But we have to learn as civilized people how to sift through those feelings and turn them into important, intriguing, and loving dialogue. What we do is we go right in with the feelings and we leave the 20% what we know behind. And then we have the situations that we have today. And I don't want to get political on this program. That's not what this is about. But go on Facebook, boys and girls. You see it all the time. And people do it because they don't have to actually walk up to the person and say it, right? But we lead with that 80%. And it's okay to feel strong about things. It's okay to feel about your ethnicity, your country. I hope that's what you feel about. We talked about man landing on the moon. You could feel my emotion. But we go in with that 80% of feeling, and no one's going to tell me because I feel it. And if I feel it, it's right. That's not the truth. That's not the truth. Just because you feel something doesn't mean someone else has to feel the same way that you do. You have to give people a chance to breathe when you're talking to them. All right? I've said this thousands of times on this program. We're going to have a room of almost 100 people at the wedding. Probably 60% of those people don't feel about things the way I do. But they're my friends, they're my family, and I love them, and they're going to be in that room. So I put the 80% aside, and I go in with the 20 of what I know, and then I go in with peacemaker. Here we go. Blessed is the peacemaker. Blessed is the pure in heart. Let's see what it says in Ephesians. Do not let anything that is not wholesome come out of your mouth. Wow. But only that which is good, uplifting, and building someone up according to their needs. Their needs, not your needs. A lot of times when we're trying to help people, we're more interested in what we have to say. So Ephesians tells us exactly what St. James tells us. Ephesians is a group of people that St. Paul spoke to. Maybe one day we'll do a Bible thing here. I don't know. But anyway, Ephesians, and only say things that are wholesome and that are building the people, that are important for the person to move forward, lift up, turn that C into a B, help them buy that house, help them realize that job that they take would be good. Help them realize that moving all the way to Alaska may not work out so great for the grandchildren. Okay, but lead with love, lead with compassion, lead with what's necessary, what's kind, and keep peacemaker and pure of heart as your core. And from there, you will give the speech that you want to give. You will be understanding, like Aunt Margie told my mother. You will listen to the things that people say about their grandson when he hit a home run, okay? And you will go back and put away things like wrath and malice and slander. Let's get to our takeaway by Rudyard Kipling. And the takeaway is this. This is powerful, and I did make copies. George has them all on the back table. Please hang around. Jock will be over. We got wonderful refreshment there. Here's the takeaway. You ready for this? Words are the most powerful drug used by mankind. Wow. Words are the most powerful drug used by mankind. I mean, what do drugs do? They can help us with our health, or they can, go flipping out, right? But words are the most powerful drug. More than anything else, people judge you by the words you use. Okay? Mark Twain said, you judge a man by how many adjectives he used when he's talking to you. So words are the most powerful drug. If you want to heal someone, which a drug can do, or improve someone's condition, watch what you say. Think about what you say. Love the person you're going to speak to, even though he doesn't look and talk and walk like you. Put that 80% in its proper place, and then speak kindly and effortlessly with people. And you know what? The kingdom of heaven will be at hand. We got a great song. Move the coffee table. Turn it all the way up to number 9. The speakers will handle it. I will be back next week, and then the week after, and then I'll give everyone what I'm doing with the wedding coming up. George, great job. Thanks for the extra. Mary Ann in research. Boy. Oy vey, how you found all this stuff. Stan, great with the Carmel coffee. And thank you, the guys from John Paul the Great Holy Name Society. All right, Jock, spin the vinyl.